It's actually not that difficult to get from the UK to Istanbul without flying. It just takes a few days. Now, I've travelled from Istanbul to London without flying before, and I spent a lot of time travelling around Europe without flying. Today, I am actually flying from Bristol to Istanbul. I'll explain why a bit later on in the video. But I wanted to make this video because I had thought about getting there without flying, and I wanted to detail what I thought would be the best possible route. So we are currently on the M5 driving to Bristol Airport, which is our closest airport that flies to Istanbul. So for the sake of this video, let's start this hypothetical journey in the city of Bristol. From Bristol, I'd take a GWR train to get to London. Now, GWR trains can be rather expensive, but I would try and get a one-way fare from Bristol to London for around £35. Now, I'm going to go into loads more detail of each of these trains a bit later on in the video, but my route from London would look something like this. I'd take the Eurostar from London St Pancras to Amsterdam. Then I would hop on a Nightjet train to Vienna. From Vienna, I'd take the Dacia train, which is a 19-hour sleeper train all the way to Bucharest in Romania. Now, from Bucharest, it does get a little bit complicated. In the summer months, there is a direct train that goes all the way to Istanbul and takes the best part of 24 hours. However, in the winter months, it doesn't really exist. And even the trains from Bucharest to Sofia, the capital city of Bulgaria, do require a couple of changes. So if the direct train from Bucharest to Istanbul is not running, then I think the best option is to take a bus from Bucharest to Sofia and then the night train from Sofia to Istanbul. So it only really requires 5 or 6 legs of transport, and it is the ultimate European adventure. I'm going to break down costs and cabin types and a few other options that you've got for getting to Istanbul without flying in this video. But first, the reason that I am not doing this trip today is simply just because of time. So we are going to Turkey for a 2-week-long trip, and we are taking some trains, taking some buses there. We're not flying within Turkey, and we're going all the way to the east of the country. But we needed time to do all of that, and at the moment, getting to Istanbul without flying, sadly, was not feasible. But I do want to stress that it really is an option, and it is a much more realistic option than a lot of people may think. Right, we have arrived at Bristol Airport Silver Zone car park. This is one of the car parks where you have to get a bus to the terminal, but you can see some of the planes over there. One of those might be ours to Turkey. Now, I did want to mention our airport parking in this because it is one of the costs that you may have when you are travelling by plane that you might not have if you're travelling by train, because airports are usually a little bit out of the way and there are often extra costs in getting there, and we will find that when we get to Istanbul as well. So this did cost us £120 for 2 weeks. And if we were travelling overland, we would, I'm not sure what we would have done actually. We would have maybe parked the car somewhere in Bristol, which would have probably been free. But obviously this depends on where you're flying from and your individual circumstances. The costs of getting to airports are different for everyone. Right, so we've made it through to Bristol Airport. But just imagine for a second that this is actually London St Pancras Station. So London St Pancras Station is the best place to leave the UK if you're going by rail, because it is the only international station in the country these days. Now, I would hop on the Eurostar. I would actually get the Eurostar to Amsterdam. And that might seem a little bit counterintuitive if you are taking the trains to Istanbul, because it is the most off course. But there is a reason for choosing this Amsterdam route. So the reason that I would travel to Amsterdam from London St Pancras is due to the onward connections. From Paris, there isn't actually a night train that you can take to Germany or Austria at the moment. This may change in the future, but there's been some restrictions on the French rails, which means that Nightjet have actually discontinued their services. I took the Paris to Berlin sleeper train back in May, so it is a real shame that this is now discontinued, but hopefully it will start up again in the future. There are sleeper trains from Brussels to Vienna, which is going to be our next destination, but they don't run the new Nightjet trains on this route, and I would really recommend going on these new night trains if you can. So we're about to walk to our gate here at Bristol Airport, but this is what I would do if I was travelling from Amsterdam to Vienna by train. I would book on the Nightjet sleeper, which runs from Amsterdam Central to Vienna Hauptbahnhof. And I would book a mini cabin. So for the dummy date that I put in to test out the prices, this came to €78.80, and I'll write on the screen what that is in GBP. So the mini cabin, you have your own little space to yourself, you have lights, you have a lock, and it feels a lot more private, but it is quite cramped. If you don't fancy them, there are also shared and private cabins available. This might be preferable for some because there have been a few not great reviews of the Nightjet mini cabins, but I personally tested them out and quite like them. Now, the Nightjet sleeper train from Amsterdam to Vienna takes about 12 hours, and you will arrive in Vienna Hauptbahnhof the next morning. Now, if you go all the way through on your next leg, it's going to take 19 hours. So I would probably recommend a day or two in Vienna. It's personally not my favourite city in the world, but I did do a very good walking tour when I was there before, and obviously there's loads to see. There's loads of palaces, museums, etc. Lots of people love it. Personally, it's just not my favourite. But I would recommend recharging there as much as you need to, because the next leg is a 19-hour train to Bucharest, although you can break this up if you want to. Oh, we are at least an hour delayed. I'll be honest, one of the reasons I hate flying is because airports really stress me out. We're all seated in one of those like boarding gate areas. There's barely any seats, so we can't get up and move, and there's a lot of noises and smells, and it all feels very, very cramped. We are being allowed to get outside and use the toilet, so I've actually just stepped out for a breather for a minute. Anyway, obviously trains can get delayed as well. Hopefully this won't take us the full 19 hours that it takes to get from Vienna to Bucharest. So this is the next stage of the journey that I would recommend. The Vienna to Bucharest train, or the Dacia as it is otherwise known, is an absolute beast at 19 hours long. But you don't have to take it all the way. You could stop in Budapest or somewhere in Transylvania like Brasov, or you could go all the way down to Bucharest. On the dummy date that I put in, this cost €138 for a shared compartment, or €218 for a private. I know I would definitely go for a private for a 19-hour journey. Also, it's worth noting that that is the private price if you're traveling on your own. If you are traveling as a couple, it will be cheaper than that because you'll be splitting the cost of the cabin. That flight felt like a 19-hour train to Bucharest. No, the flight itself wasn't too bad, it was just the delay of getting on, but someone was taken ill on the previous flight. It was a necessary delay to make sure she was all right. So we have arrived in Istanbul, but where I left off in my overland journey was getting to Bucharest, which is still quite a bit of a way from Istanbul. So let's talk about how to get from Bucharest to Istanbul without flying. Now, when I travelled from Istanbul to London without flying, I did actually take a direct train all the way to Bucharest, and this operates only in the summer months. It varies in price, but it's about €100 to €140 for a private cabin. However, you can't take this in the winter months. It just simply doesn't exist. I guess there's not enough demand for it. We're about to go through passport control, so I'm going to put my camera away, and on the other side I'd recommend what I do instead. So you're in Bucharest and you want to get to Istanbul and there is no direct train. What do you do? Well, I recommend that you get to Sofia. From Sofia there is a year-round train. Richard is actually getting it in the other direction on his way back from Istanbul. However, from my research, there doesn't even seem to be a year-round train connecting Bucharest and Sofia. You can take one, but it requires at least one transfer. So actually, the easiest way to get between the two capitals year-round seems to be by bus. This takes about 6-7 hours and costs about £15. Obviously, you spend some time in Sofia, and from there is a train that will take you to Istanbul no matter what time of year. How long's the train from Sofia to Istanbul? You'll find out soon.
Leaves at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
I guess in the next day.
Okay.
Sometime.
All right. The one to Bucharest is basically 24 hours, so I presume it would probably be 12-ish, 12 to 14, something like that. 12 to 15 hours.
It depends on.
I'll look it up and write it on the screen. And now Rich paid €140 for this. For the way that he's going from Turkey to Sofia, you can only book it in person. So he has paid a Turkish company to physically go to the station and book the ticket. I presume they could do the same for the other way around, or maybe there is a Bulgarian company who can do the same, who can go to the Sofia station. I don't think you'd be able to book the return leg online, do you?
Unless you can book it on Bulgarian Railways.
Yeah, unless you can book it on Bulgarian Railways. I will take a look at that, but when I was doing my research, I don't think I could find it anywhere. So I will write down the company that Rich used here, and you can definitely send them an email, see what they'd advise, potentially a Bulgarian company as well. Or you can obviously wait. If you've got a day or two in Sofia, you can wait. I don't know how guaranteed it would be that you get a sleeper, / you'd get a private sleeper if that's something that you definitely want. But obviously when you book through a third party, there is going to be a markup. So Rich paid €140 for this ticket. I think when he translated the price from Turkish lira to pounds, it worked out to be about £70-80. Is that right? So there is quite a big markup there, but obviously that's how companies make their money. This is the other thing that you don't have when you take the trains. Time spent waiting at baggage reclaim. I think that's mine as well. Martin C, that's me. So the total cost that I've estimated to travel from the UK to Istanbul without flying, and this doesn't include any hotels, food or activities, is £385 to £540. And this all depends on whether you want private or shared cabins, whether you take the bus if the train from Bucharest isn't running, etc, etc. We're just on the hunt for something affordable that we can grab for dinner, which I'm not sure if such a thing exists in Istanbul airport. Do you have a look? No prices. That's always worrying. We are just looking for our airport transfer now, and we'll find it, drive to our hotel. It's about a 40-50 minute drive. Once we get there, I'll tell you exactly how much it costs for us to fly to Istanbul. We have arrived to our hotel in Istanbul. We're staying on the Asian side of Istanbul, Kadıköy tonight, and tomorrow we are taking the high-speed train from here to Ankara and then onwards on the Eastern Express to Kars, which is all the way in the east of Turkey. So those videos are to come, but I just wanted to sum up exactly how much flying here cost us so you can see the difference of it between taking the trains. It's not really comparable because taking the trains is a trip in itself. Like I said, I'd recommend stopping and seeing places on the way. You can extend it to 2+ weeks. I had someone comment on Instagram saying that they took like 2 months to do it. So it really isn't comparable, but transport wise, just so you can see the difference. We spent £80 on the flight, and that included a hold bag. So that was £80 per person. You can get flights for as cheap as like £35 from London, but that doesn't include any hold baggage. I believe that's just with Wizz Air. Pegasus is also the Turkish low-cost carrier, and they also do very cheap flights from a few destinations around the UK. And we also paid £120 for parking. That was between the two of us, so that would work out at £60 each. Petrol probably cost £10 probably, so say £5 each. And the transfer the other side was £40, so £20 each. So, let me do my mental maths. That works out to be about £165 per person. So obviously flying is cheaper, but you can't really compare it because it is just a completely different experience. One is getting to the destination, the other is actually enjoying the journey. Now, the last thing I wanted to say is that there also is another option, an interesting option, if you wanted to travel from Istanbul to London without flying for very cheap, and that is to take the train from Istanbul to Sofia, which Rich paid about €140. You could probably get it for cheaper if you bought the ticket yourself in Istanbul. You could probably get it for about €100. And then there is a bus. There's a bus that goes from Sofia to London. It's a direct bus. It costs about €100, so around £80. So you could get the whole way back, technically, for about £170, £180. I'm not sure if you'd want to do that. You obviously could do it the other way as well, so you could do it from Istanbul to London or from London to Istanbul. Yeah, I'm not sure. I might try it one day. I might try it, give a review. It would be an experience. I have done a 60-hour bus before, 60-hour coach in Indonesia. That was about 8 years ago. I think I'd struggle with it these days. But maybe I will for the channel one day. Anyway, the much more comfortable route to travel from the UK to Istanbul without flying is the one that I've outlined in this video. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I did want to just record our journey to Istanbul today, but I thought it would be a bit boring to just show the flight, so I thought I'd show an alternative method. Hope you've enjoyed it. The Turkey series will be starting next. We've got high-speed rails, we've got sleeper trains, we've got places in the Kurdish area of Turkey. So there will be so much to watch. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.